You are listening to Power Stance Gaming Podcast, the #1 podcast for gaming and hobby banter. With your hosts, Jacob, Greg, and Muddi.
G'day everyone, Jacob Corney here. Welcome to another episode of Power Stance Gaming. With me as always are your hosts, Mr. David Muddi Muddiman.
Hey guys.
And Greg Millsop. How you doing?
Yeah, the voice is struggling a little bit.
You're looking a bit more pale than usual, I got to say.
Yeah, I must admit, the time spent not sleeping at the weekend hasn't helped.
Right.
I'm calling shenanigans right there.
You're calling shenanigans?
Someone slept all day Sunday of the
I
tournament.
did not sleep at all on the Sunday at Briscon.
When we post this, we'll ask for witness accounts if we would like a confirmation.
Just resting my eyes.
So when I teabagged you, did you see that coming?
Because when you rest your eyes, you do tend to close them. So that was totally unnecessary.
Right. I feel that's going to have people have a bit more questions than answers.
I think it's setting the
as
mood
to-
for the show right here. That's the mood for the show right now. And it's going to go downhill.
All right.
I can
So
bloody
let's
tell.
Get straight into it. So first thing we need to talk about, and probably why you're looking so shady, and why Muddi can't stop grinning every time he has a glance at you, is that we had Briscon on the weekend, didn't we?
We did.
And how'd that go, lads?
Well, I think we need to go back before Briscon.
Before Briscon.
Yeah, because we also had another weekend away.
Ah, correct.
That's what I'm saying. This is actually quite a full episode.
We got a bit of a roundup to get through.
Yeah.
haven't we? Yeah.
So how do we want to start? You guys want to do any news or anything like that first, or straight into it?
I was straight in the roundup. That's what people want to hear.
Okay. Well, the first thing was my 40th at Twin Waters.
Happy birthday once again.
So hang on a second. You have 2 40ths in the year, do you?
Well, someone as good as me obviously deserves it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or are you just like, going with the trend of having is it a week-long party or no? Was it a month? I can't. Was it a month or a week?
I had a weekend without my kids, so I'm not complaining at all.
This was all paid for by my wife, so I guess I deserve it.
No, it was good fun.
Yeah.
Great fun, yeah.
So, summary, golf, games, we played Rumble Slam and some Legion.
Correct, yeah.
And I believe we were going to, after a proper game, throw some more dice at it.
Yep.
You guys want to still do that?
Oh, a quick review update. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. You want me to kick it off?
Go, Jacob. Off you go.
After a near full game of Legion.
Yeah.
'Cause
Pretty
we didn't-
close.
We should have played on the 3x6.
Yeah, we should have played on a bigger
board.
board and we'll short some vehicles in the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
I stand wholeheartedly by my 4.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Yep.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Yep, hasn't changed my.
So you're still a 3?
Yeah.
But did you actually watch the? Did you actually? Because
Yeah, I was there.
you were watching a lot of wrestling at the time. And you weren't-
I was,
You were
yeah.
very
Yep.
hard to get the focus.
Well, you didn't say the listeners that we had, WrestleMania thrown in, the whole
Yep.
5 hours of it.
There was WrestleMania.
Which for me really made the weekend.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah, I'd stick by 4. There's some. We had some discussions in. There's still some areas there. I was like, but I think if you tailored your list a little better, like actually sat there and really thought
wrote
about
a
it,
list, yeah.
I think it would have picked up, and I think on a larger board, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I definitely think it needs as soon as you hit over a starter box, you need the 6x3.
Yeah.
But the mission, I like how the missions work. I love the command card abilities.
Yeah, there's a lot of bonus. The pluses, like the pluses, I think that we described in the actual review, still stand.
Still stand, yeah. Totally. Yep.
But I enjoyed that game more than probably the starter mission.
Yeah.
It looked better too. Let's be honest.
Oh, you had terrain on the
With
board.
terrain and most of some of the minis were painted and whatnot. You could definitely get that feel. So that's why I'm sticking by the 4. I definitely think it's got legs.
Yeah, I agree. And then I got onto a website the other day and saw they are actually bringing out Rebel Commandos.
Oh, nice. That was the one thing.
Smocks.
Yeah, that's what
And
you
I
wanted.
said if they bought that out, I'd probably get them.
There you go. So, is this similar to the Space Sisters or whatever? Sisters of Battle.
Well, yeah, I'm
gonna
actually-
stand by your
I'm gonna
word,
follow
or
through with it?
Oh, you're actually going to go through.
Yeah, yeah.
Greg, got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am. Not really, to be honest. To be honest, well, we need to play 40k again. And we said that's, last cast, probably the cast before it. I'd be keen to play more 40k. But I'm not going to buy models just because they look awesome. The rule set's got to back it up for me to play. For sure. I might just not talk this cast because my voice is not good at all.
And the other game we played was Rumble Slam. What was the result of that?
You guys ganged up on me again.
And who won?
Not me, because you guys ganged up on me again.
Me!
I do recall my troll copping it for a bit of getting a bit of work over at the end. By both of you.
Yeah, deserved it.
Just quietly.
It was a good game. It was a good way to kick off the gaming session down there.
Yeah. You know what I did learn about Rumble Slam, though? Is you can still castle up in a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about.
But then you had your little zipping around shadow thing,
stepping,
guys.
yeah.
That was hilarious because you nearly knocked one of Greg's guy
Off the
Green
turnbuckle.
Eagle guy. Yeah, off
No,
the
it was one of
turnbuckle.
his orc brawlers.
Was it? It was up on the turnbuckle.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was close because you didn't see that coming. And I thought,
No.
oh, here we go. Mr. Castle's going to get some mole in the castle, knock him off the turnbuckle. So that was quite good.
Yeah. In hindsight, I should have stayed there for another 3 turns and just knocked him off.
Yeah, because he only had one plan.
Yeah.
Castle.
And jump off the turnbuckle.
Yeah, and the turnbuckle. So
Do you recall my troll getting out past the middle ground and having a good old crack? I do recall that.
Yeah,
That's not exactly castling up.
So how many guys did he have in the ring? Probably 5 or 6.
6.
Well,
Yeah,
what
so one
about
of them got
your
out
what
there.
about your knockout on bloody Ultimate Warrior? That was
That was awesome.
Trying to think, did we double team? No. We
No,
double teamed something. You knocked it out, and then I just went over and picked him up and threw him out.
that was
something.
Warrior.
Yeah.
Because I beat him by 8 stars.
Yeah, smashed
which
him
is
up.
Unconscious
Yeah.
with 0 stamina.
And I think I had
straight away.
someone just literally standing right next to it,
Yeah.
just picked him up, hoiked him out.
So that was Phage that did that, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah. So a lot of love for that game still. So we played golf
badly.
badly.
I feel there was some improvement over the weekend.
There was. I absolutely dominated you guys in the first game, and in the second game, I might have won a hole out between the lot of us. That was it, and you guys stepped it up.
Yeah, I come good on the second day.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy overall. I think, but I think that's just called a draw. You know, being sportsman, that's called a draw. Maybe on the Sunday. You know, let's not say who was a better player.
I don't think you could count properly though. You kept coming up with magic numbers. That you're like, wait up, you spent 4 hit shots like out where we couldn't even see you.
Yeah, mulligans.
Yeah. Oh, they don't count. Oh, you don't count
Mulligans,
that one.
yeah.
Oh, come on, it's not a championship. We're not playing for Doug.
And so this could be, I grew up in country Victoria.
Yeah.
So forgive me on my backwards ways, but we used to say if you didn't hit it past the ladies' tees, you bought everyone a drink.
That's true.
Apparently, the way it's played in Europe
Yeah.
is if you don't hit it past the ladies' tees, you get to have another go,
Yeah.
and it doesn't count.
Same as if you hit it in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another free shot
Yeah.
too. And if you hit it and it goes directly sideways and it goes where you can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Like say maybe 2 fairways over. Yeah, that doesn't count either.
I did that a couple of times. I got a
Yeah.
hand up for that.
Or even just swinging it and missing the ball completely. That doesn't count either.
I think the viewers probably get a good understanding that where our skill level's at from a golf point of view. That really, we probably shouldn't be playing that course. Really, or certainly shouldn't be playing that course without a decent warm up beforehand. I
I
think
tell you what, though, that was the nicest golf course I've ever played
Yeah.
on.
it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to go anywhere else after that.
Yeah, as much as I love 1 Mile Creek.
The short, yeah.
Big shout out to 1 Mile Creek
There's a sponsorship deal
shit,
right there.
and,
Yeah.
and the country club they have there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All 2 dongas of it.
So we survive Twin Waters. We come back.
We didn't have enough time either, did we?
No, you didn't have enough time between all the golfing, a game. Like you really only could get 1 game in.
Yeah.
And then, then we went to the beach, pool. What else we do?
Ate some good food.
Table
yeah,
tennis.
heaps of food, some drinks.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget the 200 shots.
There you go.
And the toilets backing up. That's not
That
forgettable.
was
it
not
was-
connected to the 200 shots.
that's
Let's
nothing-
make that really, really clear.
Unbelievable. What a time to do it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very classy.
Yeah, not
So-
good at all. Both toilets as well, in both rooms, backed up.
Yep.
Even
Not
if we
cool.
did feel sick for the 200 shots, there wasn't anything we could do.
There was
for it.
no way to get release.
No, this is in a family hotel as well, listeners.
Yeah, and it was pretty busy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, why do
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing the...
Because Greg's throat's sore, so...
Oh, okay.
And it was your
Yeah.
party.
So-
It was your
Big night
party.
out in the
So anyway,
valley,
that
yeah.
pretty much wraps up the Twin Waters. I think the more exciting is, well, the more things that went on is obviously Briscon. So does someone want to start the whole Briscon side of things?
Well, I didn't go to Briscon. I popped in for a visit, so I can't really talk too much about it.
And Greg's got this look like he doesn't want to talk at all.
No, I was just waiting for you to chime in and tell us about your Kings experience.
No,
Okay.
Kings was good. Kings was good. So I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything from Friday. What happened Friday? Before Briscon, what did we do Friday?
Went out to Netherworld.
So we met up. Where did we meet up?
Met up at the Magic Vault,
That's right, because you guys were playing.
ABC. So DT played Rory, and I can't remember if they played a mission. Mine's blank. But anyway, they had a ball, and surprisingly, DT called it in turn 3, which was amazing. Which he gave him a bit of crap about, but he said, no, some makings of a good player, apparently, that when you're beaten, you call it out and say, thanks very much. So he was...
He calls that signs of a good player. I call that being a loser.
It does sound a lot like giving up.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, oh, I can't win. I'm taking me bat and ball. I'm going home.
So, but yeah, he had a lot of love for Rory after that, didn't he?
This is a good drop.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So yeah,
Well, usually every podcast, like, there's a mention of this good drop every time.
Well, Greg and I are
Greg's-
drinking ginger beer with frozen raspberries
Yeah,
in
and
it,
I'm
so we're
drinking
going
ciders. So
to stay away from the...
I'm still going. Don't you worry. Where are we at?
well, yeah. Well, so after that, then we were at the Magic Vault, which was awesome.
Orderly.
Played a game of ABC. Then didn't we go for feed?
Yep.
Went for burger and chips, whatever.
No chips were stolen this time either.
Went for steak. That's right.
Yep.
Was Nathan there?
No, I did see Nathan at Briscon, and I explained the situation. He was fine with it.
Yeah.
But he's nicknamed me the Seagull.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
paid it. I was like,
Yeah.
yep, no, that is a fair call.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes, then we did that. Then dumped our gear because we stayed locally, didn't we? Stayed at a local hotel.
The Ibis,
Yep, right beside
the main road.
Mm-hmm. Right beside the main road. Yeah, for you, not for us.
Well, at least I had my own room.
You did have a view though.
I hear there was an advantage to having your own room.
There's definitely, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew that.
So we went to Netherworld and had a few beers there.
Yeah, I hadn't been there. Turns out my wife has, actually. She's popped in there once.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And she said, yeah, same sort of thing as what we were like. Wow.
Yeah.
Just a cool little place to go have a few quiet drinks. And,
I think I went
Dorkin.
maybe 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Just after I opened. Maybe even longer. I'm
Yep.
not sure. But yeah, it was cool.
It was just really laid back. I don't know if it necessarily had the sort of drinks that you required, Gregster.
Yeah, no, it didn't. But
It didn't really have necessarily what I would normally have, but JT figured out a cider that worked for me, and that was cool. And we just played video, like we played Alex Kidd.
yeah, it was fun.
I was the champ of that.
That was unreal.
I was
yeah,
the
you're
champ
pretty
of
good.
that. I was pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was pretty good.
Yeah,
But once
out of the three of
once-
us, you're pretty
Once
good.
that chick was telling me they play paper, rock, scissors when you get to
Yeah.
the boss man.
Yeah.
She knew them.
Yeah,
She knew them.
Yeah, I would have
the-
back in the day remembered the sequence.
yeah, I did back in the day.
Back in the
Yeah.
day, but like this
But
is
then we
not back
told
in the
her-
day.
But then we told her, oh, they're probably in Google, and she was like, no way, because she'd been playing it,
Yeah.
to work out the sequence, and sure enough, you just Googled and it was there. The
Yeah.
sequences
Yeah.
for all the bosses.
Yeah, but
So-
that was good. That was good fun. And what else did we play?
Street Fighter. was
Street
played.
Fighter, which I just towed them up.
I see.
That was
Now I
awesome.
wish I was there.
We played
Yeah.
Mario Kart.
It was Street Fighter Alpha though, which wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily. It had different characters. Like you wanted, did
Guile.
you want Guile?
Yeah, he was my
It
go-to
didn't have
dude.
that, so I'm not going to say that you couldn't beat me, but I definitely towed you up with Ryu.
Yeah, you're pretty good, right? A couple of
Yeah.
times I fought back valiantly, but then
It was a valiant effort, but still no biggies.
yeah, you did get your Dragon Punch off.
Yeah, smacked him up a bit.
Yep.
And JT, not much chop either. Took
Yeah.
him up. No.
I was too young. He would have
Yeah,
missed it.
yeah, I just took him off.
Yeah, he wouldn't been a Street Fighter baby, eh?
That's it. I remember 50 Cent plays down the local
Yep.
milk
Yep.
shop.
Oh,
Yep.
we didn't play it. The one when we first walked in, I was like, oh, we're going to play this. Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that's right.
The
Ninja Turtles.
The Konami one.
Yeah, where they're
Yeah.
running around. Yeah.
On the
They've got all
streets,
that-
with
yeah.
the 4
On the
panels.
streets. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, and it starts in the news office and...
Oh, I don't know about the news office, but it's the one, they're all running around with the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Shit, yeah.
That was the first thing I saw when I walked in. I was like, oh! I turned into an octopus.
That is a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
And
That'd
Mario
be
Kart.
handy. Like, if you had 8 arms,
I know, that would be very handy.
you could
This-
play all 4 turtles.
You could be just grabbing stuff all over the place.
That's it. You could just hit all the buttons. And the sticks.
And the sticks.
Sorry, Greg.
Oh, sorry, Greg. And did you want to bring up Mario Kart?
Yeah, maybe not really.
JT smashed you.
I just can't. I used to play that like so easily and crush everybody at it, and now here I am years later, and I'm crap at it.
Yeah, and then you play.
Devastating.
What else was there?
Devastating.
Mortal Kombat. That was there.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, I don't think I played that. You guys played that one.
Yep.
But yeah, like I recommend it. That was a cool little hangout.
It's a cool spot.
Yeah, and it was just nice and cruisy. Good way to start it. So we probably finished there. What about just after midnight or something?
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, went back and got ready for the big day at Briscon.
Mm.
We get to Saturday. Now we get back about 12:30. So we're in bed by about 1.
Mm.
So I'm up at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So me and DT hit the gym, which was good. Till he teabagged me when I'm under a bench. Didn't see it coming because I got my headphones on, looking the other way. And next thing,
So gay.
ball bag on my forehead.
It's so gay.
Yeah, not being derisive.
It's just
gay
lucky there was
people.
no hot. There was just
it
it was
is
Legitimately gay.
it was just lucky. It's early in the morning. There wasn't any hotties around. It was okay. I freaked out.
You enjoyed it.
No, I freaked out because I didn't know, because you don't know. You just about to do this, and then all of a sudden, can't see anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he thought it was hilarious.
yeah.
So
It is
that was pretty much the start of my Saturday morning. And then we got breakfast, and we headed off to Briscon nice and early for the registrations, and you guys needed to set up.
Yeah.
I think it's important maybe we stop here and maybe let Jacob actually talk for 5 minutes about what Jacob got up to on Saturday.
So Saturday was a pretty crazy day for me. I knew I couldn't back up 2 weekends in a row, otherwise I would be divorced.
Yep. And sounding croaky like this.
Yeah, there's that. So yeah, my kid's a bit younger than yours, so I can't get away with it.
You can't get away with it. Not yet.
So Saturday, first of all, I popped into CU squeezes at Briscon.
We were looking all right at that stage.
Yeah, you were looking good. You're actually having
Fired
fun.
up. Yeah.
You were rolling dice. You were playing Ken.
Oh, yeah, that was a cracker. Yeah, because Ken was... he was looking out for me.
Yeah.
Because they all knew... Like, I hadn't played in over a year. And let's be honest, I think the last games I played were all historical matches.
Yeah.
So I took a strictly historical list to a 2-day fantasy event with Ken Barons, Victorians, and New South Welshmen all coming up. So this is not just a little fun one up the road. And I hadn't played for a while, and I took the most underpowered thing you could possibly think of, and I got taught a good lesson because of that, which I totally deserved. But Ken was looking out for me and was showing me some of the ins and outs of some of the fine movement things.
Ken, his dice roller.
Oh,
I got to call it out.
Yeah,
like, I don't know how I feel about it.
Why is that?
Like I
think it was annoying him a few times too, because he'd put the dice in, and because you've got so many dice, I think this is where it falls down. They'd all clump up down the bottom, so then you'd have to shake them out anyway. Yeah, so I think it was annoying him too. I think it's at some point he yelled out he was going to give it back to someone. I think he'd only just bought it off someone.
Right. Yeah.
And he was like, "Nah."
It looked like 3D printed or something.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him about it. I just left it alone, but he didn't seem too happy with it.
Yeah.
Was it a dice tower?
Yeah.
The other thing, I didn't hang around very long because I walked up to the table and Ken rolled nothing but 1s and 2s while I was standing
that's
there.
right. And I wanted you to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt legitimately bad.
No, he would.
But this was the theme. No matter what table I went to, happened to DT, happened to Vissy, happened to Chad.
Oh, you gave him cancer.
Like I'd walk up to a table and the dice just went, no, fuck Baletown, you know?
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I didn't stay very long because I thought I might ruin some hobby.
No. We had a great game. I was actually going to say when we get to the Saturday that that was like Ken was one of the better games I had because he literally took the time to show me some of the ins and outs of the real fine stuff with, especially with Nimble.
Yeah.
The little shenanigans you can pull with that sort of stuff. It's because I still see the game with Warhammer eyes in regards to movement, and Kings it's a completely different game. So people out there, if they're sitting on the fence, a lot of the harsh critics used to say that Kings of War is like light Warhammer or something. It just isn't. It's a completely different game because Warhammer. I used to go pretty okay at Warhammer because it had a few fail safes in it. You could design a good list. You could 6 dice. There's a lot of movement shenanigans, double fleas. There's a whole lot of little things you could get away with. Whereas Kings, it's a lot more chess, and there's less things you can try and do to get out of it if you muck things up.
Yeah.
So it really does reward good play and punish poor play. So I got punished, rightly so.
Yep.
But what did you anyway?
So went around, had a look, poked through the buy swap swell.
Yep.
Went and put my wallet
Did you
out
buy
in the
anything?
car. No, I wanted to, didn't. Had a good chat with Paul from BP Laser. We'll talk about that in the news.
Yep.
And just said hi, but then had to bail because I was heading to Connexio.
Why were you going to Connexio?
Because it was International Tabletop Day.
It was.
So we were going to have a bit of a game of Rumble Slam there, but then we realised, it was the same weekend as Briscon.
Yep.
So I went on my own and...
fell on the sword.
No, I wouldn't call it full on the sword.
Oh, someone had to...
Yeah, so I took Rumble Slam.
Yep.
And, set it all up and had all the minis out and had heaps of people coming over, like, picking up stuff and go, oh, this is awesome, blah, blah, blah. Had a game with Mick and...
Are we calling that Rumble Curious?
Rumble Curious.
Is that not a T-shirt?
Maybe. And, just basically had a good weekend. Basically had a good afternoon, just playing some Rumble Slam. And
you would have got a good feed there too, because
Spreading
their
the love.
food's good there.
I had good coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, clean skin coffee.
Did you have your triple shot?
Yeah, triple shot cap. Yeah. So it was really good. And like, if you haven't been to Connexio, listeners, and you're a Brisbane local, definitely worth the trip in and checking it out.
Especially if you're into Star Wars too. Because I know a lot of people obviously are, but they have their is it Thursdays or something?
Yeah.
Thursdays is like literally themed gaming for the day or night.
Yeah, I think this Friday actually, because it's May the 4th.
May the 4th will be a big one.
They've got a big night on too. So
because they're even doing I think you were saying Star Wars RPGs even there.
Yeah, there was a group playing that there. So it was all in all, it was really fun, and you got to show a whole bunch of people Rumble Slam.
Yep, which is a good thing. Yeah,
and we've had some contact on the socials since then.
Yeah, I saw you got a post basically saying, "Hey, I was busy with something else, but otherwise I would have totally jumped on board."
Yeah, a couple of DMs too. So
awesome.
To in the very near future.
Yep. Good work.
Get that going there.
Yep.
And then that was me. Went home, had a feed, watched the footy, put the kids to bed, and got in the car.
The football.
But that'll be continued later. Oh, sorry, Muds.
Yeah. Oh, mate, Swans, whatever.
Yeah.
I always got them to go back to.
But anyway, talk to me. Give me Saturday at Briscon.
All right, so Greg's basically been quiet, so I figured might as well let Greg actually say something.
Oh, thank you very much.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah, so kicked off the Infinity tournament. We had 30 odd players. I think we had one dropout, so I think maybe we had 29. No, we had 30. That's right. And then we had one dropout after the second game, which was unfortunate, but that's nature.
That's actually pretty good. We had a whole bunch of dropouts.
I heard. It was like
6 or something, or 8, all last
last minute. It was the last day.
Yeah,
like,
which was really disappointing because there might have been some like crappier players for me to play.
Yeah,
it might have helped me.
But that's a lot of last minutes.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Ken about that and Edward as well. I don't know how you get around it though.
Yeah, near do I. Yeah. I mean, they've paid, so I mean, it's their loss, really.
Yeah, I don't think they ever asked for any money back or anything like that. So at the end of the day, but most of the money, when I was talking to them, so it's $50. It was $50.
Yep.
How much was yours? $50.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's probably the same maths. 40 of it went to the event.
Wow. Okay. for the
So
ball hire. And
there you go. If there's between 6 or 8 dropouts just for Kings, that's a whole bunch of money going.
yep, disappeared
Yeah.
down the gurgler,
I don't know, but like I said, I don't know what you do with that.
down the block.
You know what? It's up to these guys to turn up.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to say you're going to turn, and I'm a family man, and I'm a shift worker, I get all of that. But I hope people aren't just dropping out because it's, I don't know, being lazy or something.
Yeah, well, look, I'll not bore the listeners with my sort of blow-by-blow account of each of my battles and whatnot, but I'll just sort of give them my highlights of the event.
Sounds good.
So yeah, we had roughly about 30, like I said, 29 maybe on the Saturday, and I can't remember the missions we played in Infinity, but it was the same as CanCon except for the hunting party one, which was swapped out by the grid. So any listeners that went to CanCon will know the missions off the top of their head, I'm sure. And yeah, I played 3 games on the Saturday. I had Sean as my first opponent, Sean Houston, Brendan Hutchison as my second opponent, and Jamie as my third opponent.
I got to say, Sean looked pretty damn good in his Eat, Sleep, Crit, Repeat t-shirt.
He did. I noticed a few PSG t-shirts knocking around the joint,
Yeah.
which was great to see.
I did see that.
Hashtag buy our shit.
Yep.
Yep.
And thanks for the support, fellas. And yeah, look, so the game against Sean was great. That was literally I won that. I can't remember the exact result, but it was the last dice roll of the game won it, that's what you want from any game. It was an absolute blast, heaps of fun to play against. And then there was Brendan's game, which so it was. I was thinking about this. It's like David and Goliath. So Brendan had 8 orders, and I had
21.
Well, according to Brendan, I had 41, but it wasn't. It wasn't 41. It was 21.
I was standing at the table and I counted 41 myself.
41?
Yeah.
No, it was 21 and 3 combat groups. And
I have never, in my history of playing Infinity for 4 years now,
Yeah.
seen anyone take 3 combat groups ever. He had too many dudes to fit in 2 groups of 10. He had to go into a third group. This is astronomical.
yeah, I must admit, I was a bit surprised myself when I did up the list and found that I had to sneak into that third touch.
So
dip my toe in it.
you're pushing the filth as far as filth can go?
Competitive, I would say. I would call it competitive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, competitiveness, which is great because Brendan is the loveliest guy. He was so cool. Or maybe he played sophisticated mind games. I'm not too sure. Maybe it might have been sophisticated mind games by being such a nice guy that he completely and maybe overbalanced me, maybe, or outthought me. I'm not sure which. Hence the reason why my voice is a bit croaky, because we had such a laugh. We were just carrying on all the way through it.
Is this why it's croaky?
Is that the real reason you was Craigie?
It's because I was shouting all day on the Saturday.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, long and short of it is, Brendan beat me. He actually smashed me really badly in this particular mission, and it was look, he played really well, and also I just played like an idiot. I played like a total noob, so I deserved to get beaten. I actually forgot. So 21 troops. I actually forgot I had troops.
You would, because there's so much.
Yeah, there's so many. I actually left.
Yeah.
I purposely left some in the case because I didn't want to show what they were.
Have you gone to an oversaturation point where now there's just too much going on?
Yeah, so what happened was in that particular list, because I haven't played it before, I'd forgot what one of my troops did, which could have stopped certain things.
Who was that?
A hacker I had. I thought it was a killer hacker. It wasn't. It was a proper hacker.
Right, yeah.
Yep, and it walked up right beside, so he captured an
Because
objective.
he had Seraph, right?
Yep.
So he had a big super jumping tag.
Yep.
If you had a hacker,
Yep.
okay. Yep.
That's when you just go do the little thing and shut him down, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus, he actually walked into the range of the hacker, which was in TO anyway, which was hidden.
Are you going to go back to just simplifying things a little so it's not maybe so much to sort of keep track of?
No, it's actually a really good list. Anyway, I screwed. Basically, long short of it, screwed up. I also forgot I had a airborne deployment drop troop, which can come on either board edge, which would have really helped me, and I completely forgot about it. And then even better, in Jamie's match, when I did remember about it, I actually picked the worst profile. I thought, it's this profile. Turned out after 3 orders, and I'll just double check something. oh no, it's actually much better than what I'm actually playing with. So yeah, that's kind of where my head was at on the Saturday. Just wasn't quite with it. Wasn't match ready, I would say.
Well, I'm going to shout out to Brendan for 8 orders defeating 41. Good job, mate.
Yeah, well played, mate.
Bravo.
Well played. Look forward to the rematch. And then, so look, he smashed me up good and proper, and then played Jamie, and they had a blast against Jamie. It was lots of fun.
Was he using his Onyx?
No, he was
Combine.
Is it ISS or JSA, whatever?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the ninjas.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yep. So, and we played highly classified, and I don't think I've ever won that mission, and won it against Jamie. And it's only mainly because Jamie didn't have a hacker, and we pulled 2 hacking missions.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I got those, which put him on the back foot. So, but it was fun. We had a good laugh, and he had to be finished by 4:00. So we rushed through it, and he was gone by 4:05, which was great. So I was super stoked, and managed to pick up. So that was the Infinity Games. Managed to pick up a chopper, which I'm pretty stoked about. In fact, it's a 1-48 scale Bell Huey.
Yeah.
So watch out for it, listeners. By the time you listen to this, it'll already be up on Workbench Wednesday. It is awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Doors open, doors slide. It's wicked. Yes, it's so much fun.
Is that the one you were holding in the box?
Yep.
Flying around the
Doing
battlefield?
helicopter noises
Yep.
with. Yep.
Yep.
That was me. Yep. Also meeting Simon Shook from the Gold Coast was wicked. He came up and said hello on the Sunday, and that was awesome. He brought his fantastically painted miniatures to show me, and even better in person. So Simon's won like a Slayer Sword and Golden Demon multiple times. He knows his stuff, and it was great finally putting a name to a face to a name, I should say. So great to meet you, Simon. It was great chat. Yeah, so that was kind of my recap of the con, and then Sunday.
Because that's actually all the games he actually played.
That's
A
right.
2-day event, right?
Yeah.
1 day's worth.
So, are we talking about Saturday night?
We haven't talked about your Saturday yet. We haven't talked
there's not
about
much
yeah,
to talk
sorry.
about with mine. Sorry. Okay, so I played 4 games in a day. I played Josh, Ken, James, and Edward. In that order. So my first day went loss, a draw, but on attrition points became a loss, a small loss, loss, which is what I expected.
Good. That's
But I learnt heaps, especially when I played Ken and Eddie. They were definitely trying to show me some of the little finesse things you can do with the movement and whatnot. I took guys with sharp, pointy sticks to a fantasy event. Of course, I'm going to get my butt handed to me. But I would have had my butt handed to me anyway because of the skill level's just on another level. So all the guys were really good. And at no point was I like, when you get the sad-ons or anything like that, because
I've never done that at a tournament.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like that. I actually had a lot of fun. And the big takeaway I took, it was actually refreshing, because while I wasn't doing so well in the games, the amount of people that were actually stopping that weren't even involved in the event and just going, oh, wait up, are they ancients? Are they Macedonians? And I'm like, oh, yeah. They were just like, oh, can we take photo? You're like, yeah, go for it.
Your army looks amazing, man. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it does.
Catch
That
people's
white,
eye.
the white on the table looks fantastic.
But the guys, a lot of them were just saying, oh, I've got historical. And they're like, so you can use these in Kings of War? And you're like, yeah. And I was like saying, I'm getting my butt handed to me, but yeah, and it looks cool. And they're like, yeah, totally. So the amount of people that stopped and were just blown away by that was well worth essentially having my butt handed to me for a few games. But like I said, all good games. All the guys were really good. Josh with his undead mummies was my wake up lesson right from the get go with their just high defense with the regen and everything. I think I got 1 regiment off. My guys would just hit, bounce, they'd heal, they'd go back in and just clean me up, But when we get to day 2, I played Tony, and he had another historical list. We were the only 2. He had the Ancient Britons, and that was my game of the weekend, because it was just 2 guys with a bunch of sticks. Although I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'll just quickly
go straight into day 2.
Yeah, because
Let's be real.
So day 2, I played Brian, Tony, and Ed from Warhammer Days. Ed the Pirate. Yep. All good games too. So played Ogres and the Brotherhood, but the 6th game was the one that sealed the deal for me. Like, so I walked away going, "Yep, I had a great time." It was with Tony because he had the Ancient Britons, and but he was clever actually because he actually took, let's call it poetic license. He took the Druids as wizards.
Clever,
which is very clever. So that gave him Bane Chant and whatnot, but he had them as Druids, as the miniatures.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yep.
That's what I should have done.
It's thematic.
So it was like a Kingdoms of Men army?
No, because in the King's historical book, you can use mythical units. There's a whole section there of mythical units and wizards and whatnot you can use.
Yeah.
And you can go to town with however you want to do the models and whatnot. Perfect idea because he kept it themey. And imagine a bunch of fanatics, naked dudes running around with the druids, screaming and ranting and raving, kill the Greeks, whatever. Like that would work them up into a fervor. Like that's what I should have done. What he did. Yeah.
You need to get some Macedonian wizards.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get some civilian types or something, or
some oracles or something.
Oracles. I've got one from the Roman lot, but they're warlord. They're just a little bit smaller. But I'll come up with something. Specifically for Bane Chants and whatnot.
That could be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was definitely my favourite game.
That edge.
Yeah, it gave him an edge. I actually won that game, but it came down to like the very end. You know, it was whether I could hold a specific spot and I could get this other spot, and it turned out I actually won. But he actually beat me in the standings. But yeah, I won the historical off, and I'm stoked with that.
Good shit.
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, that was my day. Yeah.
So has this got your got you reignited for going to tournaments and whatnot?
Yeah, it actually has. Yeah, I think I got a monkey off.
That's massive.
I actually got a monkey off my back. Yeah, it's like I think part of it was obviously I have weird shifts and whatnot, so it's always hard to get the time to do it. But even then, sometimes when you did, you just always seem to, I guess, maybe find an excuse, almost not to. But just knowing that I went and did a 7-dayer, 2 days with, they had the State of Origin event there, so it was a pretty hardcore bunch, and I had a whale of a time. And yep, I didn't win that many games, but it didn't matter. I still had a good time. The only thing I would have changed is if we could have drunk at the venue.
Really?
Yeah, I could have had a quiet one. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That would have took an edge off.
That's a selling point for me now.
Yeah.
Too.
Yep.
Yeah.
A few beers.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to go crazy. I mean, like just one or two, just to take the edge off and just relax.
It was just like when we were playing golf.
Yeah. Yeah, you played so much better.
One drink in my
with
hand.
a can in your hand.
Can of bourbon.
Yeah.
And I dropped 10 strokes off my game.
Yeah, and it made me stress more. It was almost like the more relaxed Jacob got, the more stressed I was getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well played, sir.
Thank you. Well, that's good. I'm really glad you had a blast. And DT, lucky you didn't put any coin up for when Muddi plays in a tournament.
Yeah, well, he's told me I've won the prize. I don't know what the prize is. He says he's got something.
Apparently it's a nutsack in the case.
Maybe you already got the
prize. He already gave me that, so
yeah.
God, I hope it's more than that. All right, so we finish off. We head back to the Ibis, shower up, and we get we got an Uber. Yeah, that's right.
We got a Land Cruiser.
Got the guy fit us all in.
Yep.
And off we went into the valley. We went to go to Netherworld, but there was definitely a difference between the Friday and the Saturday night. It was a lot more people in there on the Saturday night.
It was packed.
And that's just the valley in general, though.
Yeah, but we wanted food.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were looking at it going, we're not going to get food here. So
well, we could, but we'd know where to sit.
Yeah, which is, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think we made the right choice, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. It was a ball. Yeah. Ended up in old Finn McCool's in the valley. Big shout out to Finn. Yeah, you can't go wrong with an Irish pub because you know you're going to get a good feed. Yeah. And there's comfy chairs to sit in. Yeah. And that must be fairly new. Like, yeah, it is, yeah. It's not that old because it's not trashed. most Irish bars are fairly trashed. Yeah, it's probably only a year old. Yeah, I reckon. I'd say Finn McCool's. Yep. The one in the valley, anyway. Yeah. But what was really, to me, what was fun is that So we had the Infinity players there, and obviously you were there.
Yep.
And then DT was there. But then the Ninth Age guys came and joined us, which was cool, you know.
Yep.
And then that's whenever you popped along, whenever the Ninth Age boys were there. So
Yep.
it was nice having 2 or 3 different systems there, and just
And getting along, just
yeah,
having a laugh at
having
things,
a crack,
playing with the jukebox.
yeah,
app thing.
yeah. That was fun.
Until someone hijacked us, we never figured out who this table was.
I think they actually took ownership of it again. They
Maybe.
McCool's.
Yeah, our choices weren't getting on,
Yeah.
or when they did get on, they got cut short every time,
Yeah.
except for some of Greg's
'Cause the bar
poor
staff-
choices.
Are
The
you
bar staff
joking?
would just be going, oh, not this shit. Just skip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put on some. I think it was. I can't remember if I put on Alice in Chains or some Stone Temple.
What?
Yeah.
Cut some Stone Temple.
Yeah, they cut it,
Ah.
and you were putting on some boring Greg. Pointing at Greg. Something that made me want to slip my wrist from Blur or something at some point. I was
a
falling.
slip. That was a slip of my fat fingers on my phone.
I was
It was
falling
supposed to
asleep
be-
at the table. It was that bad.
It was supposed to be one of the Blur's like number ones, and my finger hit the wrong one.
So yeah, it was fun because
Right.
then everyone would be cheering when their song came on and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's good value.
No, that's cool. That was a good little place. I mean, I rocked up. As I said, I had to do the dad duties and cook dinner and kids to bed and wanted to watch the footy,
Yep.
which went to extra time, so I listened to it in the car on the way down to the pub.
While you're driving the Batmobile.
Yep.
Yep.
I
Through
couldn't
the
figure
streets
out,
of Gotham.
couldn't figure out how to stream it to the screen. I know you can,
Oh, that would be awesome.
but I was sitting in the garage and my wife's like, "Are you gonna leave yet?" I'm like, "I probably should." So
Yep.
yeah, I know I can stream my phone to my.
That's
Sorry.
awesome.
It's probably dangerous.
I think so.
I can't imagine
Well,
how
if
it'd
it
be
goes to
dangerous.
Penalty shootout in the grand semi-final.
I had to take my daughter to the gymnastics today, and I have to take the little fella. So I make sure he takes his iPad. What have I got loaded on it? Wrestling.
Yes.
So he's watching the last Royal Rumble. So he's sitting in the front watching it on his iPad, and you can't help but keep looking down to see what's
going
Oh,
on.
which bit's up? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, John Cena's there, and Randy Orton. Oh, yeah, good stuff.
So anyway, I got to the valley, and it was still 5 minutes to go. So I'm walking from the car park at Worders to Finn McCool's with my phone out, watching. And just as I got into the venue, that's when Melbourne scored the winning goal
Jerks.
with like 3 minutes to go,
Jerks.
and that was good. Just
Yeah.
a great time to see Muddi.
Yeah.
See Sydney get beaten.
Thanks.
It was
But I
brilliant.
was having a good time, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, went in, had a pint. You guys were there. Obviously, JT was in high spirits. Apparently,
JT was in low spirits later.
He'd made some deal with DT about rolling dice that I couldn't.
Is it okay?
It
so
was probably the mathematical concepts he was explaining, but I couldn't understand what was coming out of
look,
his
it's
mouth.
2d6 versus 1d20.
Ah,
whoever
see,
rolls the
way he
highest.
was explaining it was like 2d6, and he had fucking 20, and then fuck and shit, yeah,
yeah.
and then fucking points. Love you, JT.
Yeah. No, it was pretty simple.
Yeah.
2 dice.
Yeah, that was it.
D6,
Hit the nail on the
1d20.
head. Yep.
And DT's been talking it up for quite some time, and he was getting pretty much trounced. Even I had a crack and rolled a couple of 19s, and I think my first roll was a 20. I think I rolled a 20 on my first.
Yeah, he did
crack.
it 5 times and lost 4.
Yep.
So he lost. Yep.
So it didn't work out so good.
Didn't
for him.
work out.
But he
so
took
good.
it like a champ.
He did, yeah.
Yep.
Bought the drink that he said he would. So
Yep.
good on you, DT.
Yeah, so we all had a decent meal there, and then we
Yeah.
started drinking beverages,
Food was good.
and then it started getting a bit loose.
Well, big shout out to Gideon, Craig, and Jacob. Not this Jacob, but we got a Jacob from Melbourne that came up to play Infinity.
Ah, that's right.
Those
Yep.
boys came out and joined us, and yeah, they got stuck into it too. I must admit, Craig got really stuck into it. He drinks like a proper Irishman.
Like a monster.
Like
He was smacking the drinks down too. Yeah.
And he was going,
getting
he was
into
going
it.
cider Guinness, cider Guinness, cider Guinness, cider Guinness, repeat about 5 million times. That's exactly what he was having,
Yep.
which was crazy, crazy good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just cool to meet Thaddeus Griffin after so long.
Oh yeah.
Long time supporter of the show. Appreciate it. It's always great when you meet a fan,
Yeah.
even if they don't know they're a fan. But yeah,
So yeah, we have a few drinks, and people start petering off. Now, what time do you think it tipped over the line?
No, I'm guessing midnight or so. Maybe
He wouldn't have a clue.
midnight. Maybe just before midnight. Because the Ninth Age boys bailed fairly early.
Yeah.
JT and I decided to leave at about 12:30.
Was that 12:30? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to bring this up. JT was hugging the porcelain.
He was not in good shape.
I was in full dad mode by this stage, to the point where I actually had random strangers walking out of the toilet, coming up to me while I'm having my drinks, going, "Oh, you know, your mate of yours, yeah, he's in there again." I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, thanks for that." I go in. Yep, there he is. And by the end, he's not even shutting the toilet door.
Oh, what?
He's lying in the piss with the door wide open. And there's guys at the piss trough just like, "Oh, you looking up?" "Oh, yeah, I got him.
Did you at any point pull his hair back up from his face?
No, I'll let him have it. It was quite amusing because then I'm like, "Oh, these bloody young pups, I tell ya." Yeah. So anyway, I think we called him at 12:30. We said nah, and so someone had to take him back. Jacob stepped up.
That's all right.
So basically, we'd hit about what you were wheeling and dealing, trying to get me to stay out longer and longer. I hit my point. I think it was what 3, 4,
2:30.
2:30. Sorry, 2:30.
Yeah.
Right. There's no one left. The place is pretty much dead. It's an Irish bar, right? So it's not like everyone's down there to party on and go late. So Greg's there trying to buy cocktails and stuff, trying to keep me in the frame of mind to keep going. I can see right through his little games he's playing. Eventually, get to the point I'm like, "That's it, man. Look, I've drunk about 4 more drinks. He thinks he's got me." So I basically said, "Look, I'm going back to the hotel." Greg basically came along and we hopped in the cab and went back to the hotel. But it didn't end there.
Yeah, I heard
And
there was a little surprise.
Yeah, I'll let Greg sum this one up.
Yeah, so cruised into the hotel and knackered from a big night out, looking forward to a bit of shut-eye, getting back early, thinking, "Oh yeah, that's good." And as soon as my foot touched the bed, I knew something was up because it was a little bit damp.
A little, was it?
Yeah, it was a little bit damp, and I thought, "Oh, maybe it's a localized thing." And then touched the whole thing, and the whole bed was pretty damn wet.
Was there a water leak?
Well, I'm saying,
Did someone spill a kettle?
I'm thinking that maybe somebody made a cup of tea, and perhaps in the throes of making a cup of tea, decided to throw the contents of the kettle over the bed.
That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Can I?
I'll just say that's what I'm hoping.
All right. So, who else was in the room with you?
JT.
JT. Now
JT was all snuggled up, by the way. He dead set had the duvet up round his face and was buried into the pillow. You could hardly see his face. He looked
JT
very
was
comfy.
Snoring in the Batmobile on the way home.
So JT, the one that was lying in piss, hugging a porcelain bowl earlier, who was snoring all the way back in the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not the most comfortable ride.
Then decided, when he got back to the room, before he'd go to sleep, to make himself a cup of tea.
Well, like I said, that's what I would hope he would do. Yep, in this situation.
I don't know if that sounds sort of like that would be the right course of action for someone in that sort of state. Because I know what I'm usually like when I get back to a hotel room. I've been drinking all night. I like to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually have a bit of contents that need to...
A full bladder.
Yeah, it's usually pretty full. Actually, that's one of the
Very
reasons... Yeah, drinking, I have to go to the toilet a lot. Once you can hold on to it for a long time, and then as soon as you break that seal, I'm going every 10 minutes, it feels like.
Yeah.
So,
I only had 1 pint and I was doing that.
and I don't know if I ever saw JT actually going to the toilet other than releasing his contents via his mouth.
Well, like I said, I'm hoping it was the kettle because next thing, there's no way I was sleeping in that because, it just wasn't happening. So
Maybe you should do a poll.
the lights went on, and it was like, JT, what the hell? And he was just a little bit dazed and confused, as you can imagine.
Well, yeah, he's just made a cup of tea
Yeah.
and you woken him
A
up.
little bit dazed and confused. And he just grumbled a bit, and I just claimed his bed and switched the lights off, went to sleep. And I'm not. So we had 2 single beds in this room, and it was like, I don't know, it wasn't vinyl. I'm sure it was a tile floor we had. So anyway, apparently he slept on the floor. So a bit unfortunate.
It's what he confirmed to me in the morning when I saw him walking back across, because I got up in the morning. He was walking back from McDonald's across the road, and yeah, he said he slept on the floor.
So I guess lesson learned is if you're making a cup of tea at night, just be careful where you spill it.
Spill the kettle.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
So that's
the Briscon wrap.
the start. Yeah, and then we. Oh no, there's more because there's a Sunday.
Oh yeah.
But only one of us actually played games.
Now we've heard your games.
Yeah, I played. Who did I play? Brian, Tony, and Ed. Last day of the tournament. And who did you play, Greg? Oh,
Yeah, I didn't play anybody on that. Well, what happened? Okay, so what happened was we had.
you were down for a bye because you kept.
Well, we had 4. We had uneven numbers on the 3rd game.
Oh yeah.
Which was a bit of a bummer. Or I can't remember, even numbers. Maybe it was even numbers. Anyway, so what happened was I said to Josh, look, if anybody does drop out, I'm happy to fall on the sword and take the bye on the Sunday. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. And I think we had actually 3 or 4 people drop out. I can't remember the exact numbers, but there was a few people dropped out on the Saturday night. Anyway, we still needed a bye on the Sunday. So I thought, well, look, we had interstators up, and I thought there's no way I wanted one of them being called for the bye. So I said, look, I'm happy to take
noble.
it. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, very noble.
Yep.
It's interesting because that morning I was having coffee with someone, and you weren't down as being on the bye that morning.
No, I was scheduled to play.
Yeah. Oh. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this has happened before. Previous tournament.
Yeah.
Someone else was down for a bye, and
That's right.
someone else went over and haggled for it.
Well, that was
Threw their weight
well,
around or something.
In both cases, that was legit. Because again, I hadn't actually spent any time wandering around the stalls.
Oh, right.
I hadn't been to the.
But you fell on the
second
sword.
hand- Oh, I only got the chopper because I saw it and was like, right, grabbed it from the second-hand stall.
Very noble.
So yeah, so I hadn't had time. So and I was glad I did because I had a couple of good chats to some of the stall holders.
And you got a bit of a kit too.
I would say a kip because again, you did a DT on me, which you said apparently I struggled a bit, which is number 1 a worry, and number 2, when I listened to you mention what happened with DT, you said you struggled too. You bloody.
I had a bar above me with weight on it. There was a bit of struggle. Lucky I didn't kill myself.
Yeah. So this teabagging business. It stops. It stops now. It's got to stop.
I think I'm calling shenanigans. I think this is a night thing.
Didn't you place in the top 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why I want to bring it up. He just didn't even play essentially half his games, and he ended up top 10 finish.
So you get 2 points for the bye.
That's more points than I earned at CanCon in total.
I'm suggesting there's an issue here with the scoring system.
CanCon, you get it 2. You get 2 points for. You get a minor victory.
Right.
Yep. But you get no objective points.
Boo hoo!
Oh, so on countback, you don't do as well.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
correct. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
So this is how. Whenever you look at Greg's standings, you have to take it into.
7th.
Did you get 7th as well?
7th overall. Yeah.
So you got
Playing.
Joint 7th.
you got a
because
minor
really,
win, a draw, and a major.
So 2 minors for the buys. I got another minor on the Saturday and a major.
So you got 3 minors and a major.
Yeah.
And you played 3 games. And a loss.
And a loss.
And a loss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Carlos.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
to Carlos. This is shenanigans.
This is bullshit.
The highest order.
This is bullshit.
No way. No, I think like I said, I was noble, did a legitimate thing and fell on the sword. But protected the rest of the pack.
He
from,
protected his points because he probably would have got belted.
Protected the-
2 games.
There's going to be.
He couldn't see.
Look, to be honest, I had such good games on the Saturday that there was no need for me to play on the Sunday. I had such good games.
All right. So shenanigans aside,
Yeah.
how do we feel about the event? Good this year?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of people there too.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't know how the stands and everything went. The food was great. Actually, big shout out to the food. I had a blast eating all those burgers.
Yeah.
Burgers and bacon eggs.
I was
That was
having-
the
Yeah.
Girls Brigade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad's missus was there.
Yep.
Yeah. That was awesome. Bacon and egg burger as soon as you come in. Outside to the wheelhouse. I think it was wheelhouse something. The little coffee stand they had there. Mocha there.
It's good.
Play some games, then another 3 burgers each day.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's got, like, I didn't play the first year, but I did go and visit 3 years ago, popped into Hall, and it's got bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
So
It certainly looks much better organised this year than last.
I wouldn't surprise me if next year it's a different venue,
Yeah.
just for the need of space, to be honest,
And ventilation.
and toilets.
Well, if they had it worked properly. Yeah. I didn't have any issues with it, though. I never had to wait.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't have to wait once. Yeah.
So we found out who just backed up the toilets, I think.
Not guilty, Your Honour.
Maybe JT was in there.
Alrighty. Cool. So, very busy weekend. Oh,
I'm
one
knackered.
One more thing I do need to shout out. It wasn't Briscon, but I played a game of malifaux with Mr. Josh Bruce the other night. Had his gremlins around, took on my Predator
I heard he smacked you up.
Familia. Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
No, it wasn't too bad. It was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
It was the first time I played with the Gaining Ground 2018 pack, and I got something wrong.
And that would have affected it?
No, I'm just trying to make excuses.
Oh,
really.
right.
Yeah, bottom line.
Yep.
But he's got his gremlins, and they are such cool models. I love the gremlins.
Yep.
And it was actually really cool because he took the master, she's the gremlin version of Predator.
Yep.
So she stole her hat one day, and she pretends to be Predator. So she's like mini Predator.
Yeah.
And then she's got her brother Francois instead of Predator's brother Francisco. So it was actually a really cool little matchup.
They got the little pigs and stuff?
Yeah, but I killed his pig summoner.
Because
He told me, oh, no, they're really nasty. You don't want this to happen because they'll just bring pigs out of your dead bodies and stuff. So I was like, yep.
So you target number one.
Kill that guy.
Yeah.
He was too nice, though. And I love his deep cut mat. I'm going to have to get one. With all the
Yeah, he said it had
the
all the
markings on it.
markings. Yeah.
Yeah, so Greg gets sort of all the scoring zones and stuff already marked on the map.
Which is a massive bonus because it can
Clever.
be quite
Yeah.
difficult to sort of...
Because
It's just
one
mucking
game we
around.
played, we kept forgetting where the lines were, basically. And
It's just annoying.
because you can pre-measure everything in malifaux.
Yeah.
So you can check where your zones are all the
So
time.
it doesn't
but you
affect
think you're in
anything.
one quarter and you're not, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, that obviously makes it very clear. And there's no start-up to it then, obviously.
That's
It's
it.
just-
And
it's
same thing too, like the lines weren't super obvious. So if you had just drained down playing another game, you would not even notice it.
Yeah, it's still subtle.
Yeah.
That sounds to it, yeah.
So I think I'm going to get one. Thanks, Josh Bruce. That's the last thing I need. But
More
mats.
stuff.
More stuff. I have to give a shout out to Josh too because I put him to 2 hunting party missions. I never played it. So
Oh, were they day 2 games?
sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, hunting party was the last game on the Sunday. It was one I was practice. It was the only one I practiced for, and then didn't play it. So sorry, Josh. He hated that. He hated it too. Like that second game we played, he's like dead set. I'm not playing it ever again. So sorry.
and while we're on the Josh
you did
Bruce
bring that up, yeah. Like it's a
bandwagon.
crap mission, yeah.
Yeah. He finished the Astor Spartiates for my game. So the Space Spartans.
Oh, that's
So
right.
I'll
Yeah, you
finish
showed me
that.
the image. Yeah, it looks really cool.
And he's cracking on the hyper negotiators now.
The
So-
hyper negotiators. They're the businessy sort of guys, right?
Yeah, imagine like orcs, but Wall Street yuppies
Yep.
in space.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Good little take on it.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, and I've got a shout out to Dream Spirit. I actually got that terrain in.
Are you malifaux table?
I actually think I've over purchased.
Never.
Never. I know. It actually probably would
And he
suit
didn't even
a-
have afterpay.
I think it would actually suit a fantasy board better. The size of the stuff, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Actually, it might be too much even for that because I think a lot of it would be it's all basically impassable.
My Brotherhood army for Kings is all ghosts. So
Oh yeah, it would look really cool.
pretty
I'll
damn
actually,
the
I'll
graveyard,
put
tombstones and stuff on the bases.
yeah, I'll put some photos up. But yeah, I've got a little bit of an undead army. If I put that on there, I think it would look really, really
Yeah.
cool because there's some
Well,
pretty
maybe
creepy stuff.
We should play a game, Your Undead versus My Brotherhood, and take some,
Oh yeah,
some
done,
photos.
done deal.
Ghosts
Done.
and goblins in the graveyard.
Yep, done. Cool.
Keen. I'm actually excited to play Kings now.
Yeah, well, we'll play with the all the special cards, spice it up.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, not
Yep.
just tournament stuff.
No,
Yeah. Spice it up. Battlefield cards. That's the ones. Yep, done. Easy. Really
Cool.
nice.
Should
Yeah.
we get into the news?
That feels odd, but yes.
Okay. All right, so the first bit of news we got tonight is from BP Laser, local company. We've mentioned them before, and I've put up a video ages ago with their windmill, telling everyone how great it was and how easy it was to assemble, and I've almost finished painting it too. But big news first, he's gone to Kickstarter with a reimagining of his corridor terrain. So this is a big thing. Greg, you checked it out tonight?
Yeah, so his target was 3,000 to get fully funded, and he's currently sitting on 5,600, so he's hit his target.
Yeah, funded in one day. And we said, there might be some air gloating going on, I guess is a good way to
I'm
talk
waiting
about
for
it.
the formal apology.
Formal apology. Should we get him on and talk about how much work and how much money he had to invest in this thing before he took it to Kickstarter?
It was a finished product, I think.
Finished product?
'Cause we actually saw it on Saturday.
At Briscon, and
Yeah.
it looked freaking amazing.
So we took a finished product to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. But, yeah, and this is taking nothing away from Paul and BP Laser and the excellent job they've done. I'm in an iron, I'm on the fence, and then he showed me it has a vault door for Fallout.
Oh,
And I went,
Nice.
shit. So,
So how much does it cost?
300 for the base kit,
How much did you already spend on Fallout?
600.
Ooh, so that's basically.
But you can use it
900
for lots of games.
I know
it's
you
not
can.
just for
Yeah.
Fallout.
No, I'm
We went
saying-
through the list today. Like, you could use it for 40k, you could use it for Infinity, you could use it for Star Wars Legion, you could use it for Walking Dead if you sort of adapt the rules a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, 2 words.
Oh my goodness.
2 words.
I've already bought it.
Do it.
you've already bought it.
Well,
You're going to jump on.
when payday rocks around next week, yeah, I'm fairly certain I'm
Going to get on it.
investing. Yep.
It does look awesome.
It's amazing. I've always wanted a corridor table too, and this one is fantastic. So we'll put up the links and some pictures and me crying while I'm building it when that comes out.
It's how many pieces is it?
It's 8 kilos of MDF. So yeah, as I said, shout out, and it's to Paul and BP Laser, and yeah, can't wait to justify that to my wife. All right.
Best of luck, I think. Best of luck.
I'm going to tell her it's yours and you're keeping it here because you don't want your missus to know about it. That's worked in the past.
That is such a good idea.
Yeah.
That is such a good idea.
Feel free to use my name.
I was going to say, we
Yeah.
got a reciprocal agreement.
Yeah.
So the other thing I've got is the Street Fighter minigame, which we didn't mention in the last episode.
On Kickstarter?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How'd
So
that go?
thankfully,
I'd be really keen when they start putting up some renders of miniatures.
If you watch the video, I don't think he's actually got it on the video. The reason I actually came across this, it was actually on YouTube. They're already there.
Oh, so it's a completed
it's
product.
done. Yeah.
okay.
Well, he's got the mocks.
The only
whatever.
thing that's questionable is what people have said is whether or not what he's showing as the finished McCoy.
They're supposed to be quite large.
Yeah, what he's showing as the
Yeah.
finished McCoy is whether or not that's actually going to be translated to the finished, like you as a punter getting, because they look amazing. They look pre-painted.
It's all pre-painted too. I think it is. He said it's pre-painted, and the ones that I saw, they look pretty damn good. And I think it's only got a couple of days. Like it might only have about 4 days or something left by now.
Yeah, it's like
But hasn't that cracked like multi-millions?
yeah.
It funded super quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's Street Fighter.
Thankfully, Nathan, who's a big fan of the show, he's jumped on it. He's getting a copy. So it's like,
Oh,
yes.
review.
Yeah,
Yeah. Get him round, give him a mic, let's go.
yeah, exactly.
It's been. Have you looked at it?
Nah.
Okay, so it's being done. Now, I don't know if this means anything to you. I've actually never watched any of his videos, if I'm honest, other than the Street Fighter Kickstarter thing. It's Angry Joe.
Nah.
Angry Joe reviews. He reviews a lot of video games or something on YouTube.
I don't watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, see, well, that's how I was like, oh, I know his name, but I've never actually sat and watched his videos. But he's the guy actually doing the Street Fighter game.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I didn't know he was into board games or anything. But they look really good. It's actually got me intrigued, but I don't know how much time it's got left.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Plus, it doesn't ship. It doesn't ship till like mid March 2019.
Yeah, so a year away.
A year of production, that's pretty normal for a Kickstarter. That's good if you get it in a year.
Especially if you're multi-millions. Like, that's a lot of orders.
So I've just pulled it up right now. It funded 352%, 6,778 backers. It funded in 1 day, and it's got 3 days to go.
Oh, get on it, son.
Wow. Good on him.
Yeah.
Good on him. Cool. What else we got? I saw Forge Worlds released the Termite Assault Drill. And I remember this from my old Epic days. And I have to say, it looks awesome. So I don't know if you know what that is, but it's the underground tunneling contraption tank thingy.
Yeah.
For Space Marines, Imperial Guard, whatever they're called nowadays. And it looks awesome. It's massive too. It looks wicked kit. So there was the Termite, which is a small one, and then you had the Mole, which was the bigger version for epic skill. And the Mole would be, you couldn't make it for 40k, it'd be too big. But the Termites look fantastic for Forge World. Expect no less, wouldn't you? And I'm not sure if we mentioned this. General Veers for Legion and Han Solo's coming out. I know we touched on it.
We've talked about it.
We mentioned Veers. I didn't know Solo was coming out too.
Yeah,
So I had a good look at that, and I think that's going to be my entry point into Legion.
So Han Solo with the
Commandos.
In the Rebel Commandos, because they're coming out too. But I'm going to start.
Hey, what
pretty
painting
slow with
scheme?
it. I'll do Endor.
You're doing
Jungle
Endor?
Camo.
Yeah, cool.
I was going to say, you've got a lot of practice doing multicam at the moment.
Yeah, fuck multicam in its ass. I don't want to ever paint multicam again.
That must be a night thing.
That's definitely a nice thing. Absolutely.
Hey, shout out to the Ninth guys. I was giving DT, I was ribbing him about it. They actually had terrain on the boards.
Had some terrain, yeah.
And then underneath, it's actually quite clever. They had the PDF underneath. So think of when you get to hills and you've got to put your... you can pick the hill up.
Okay.
The PDF sort of laminated thing is there to mark it, and you can use that and then put the terrain pack on it. But I had to give him stick. No, but they actually had the terrain on the board.
But, there was a PDF of a hill, and then there was a rock sitting on it. Like, a rock.
Yeah, that's better than what
better
they've
than a
been
PDF.
rocking before, right? I had to give him a bonus point for that.
All right.
Still, like, it's in concept, it's a really good idea.
And it was good actually seeing some of the guys I hadn't seen for a while.
Yep.
I had a quick shout out to Dan as well.
Yeah, Dan.
Dan was there.
He was in good form.
Yeah, so, hat off to him.
Aiden as well was Clown Army.
Yep, he was there.
Dan, I'm having flashbacks. Is Dan a wrestling fan?
Yes, I believe so. I'm pretty sure Dan is a huge wrestling
All
fan.
right, we'll have to tag him in this and try
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some Rumble Slam.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. And also, Kickstarter, we love our Kickstarter news. It's good to hear that Judgment, the Australian-based 54mm game, it was successful. So it was looking for 75,000. That was their goal.
Yep.
And they reached that 77,000 at the last time I looked. So
Nice. Good work.
good on them. So that was their second Kickstarter. So good on you, lads. And Muddi, we all know you like your Kickstarters.
I love them.
So I saw one that you might be able to jump on called Rescue Polar Bears. You want to know what that's about?
Rescuing polar bears.
It's rescuing polar birds. It's putting the environment at the front of people's minds and thinking about those poor polar bears with the melting ice caps, and you've got to get them on the little bit of ice so that they don't fall into the sea and die.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Do you know the good thing about polar bears? Amazing rugs. They make amazing rugs.
Much like Wookiees.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. But yeah, I thought that would be...
Come at me, Peter.
and
what are you going to do?
I just got a note here. Rescue Polar Bears, funded in 3 hours.
Yeah,
Finished product.
it's cool.
Just saying.
Awesome.
Yep.
So what you're saying is take a finished product to Kickstarter.
That's pretty much what
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We all agree on this.
Hitting the
This
nail
is
on
not
the
something we
head.
disagree about.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's got to be a finished professional product.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
We're
it.
throwing chairs in here in a minute, aren't we?
I've been watching wrestling.
I can see you're all pumped up.
So, one other thing, and you'll be interested in this.
Oh, will I?
Battlestar Galactica, Starship Battles. So, it's right dumbing it down. It's X-Wing style, your fighter.
Yeah,
fighter
where did I
things.
see that? Where did I see that?
With, I forget what they're called. What the bloody spaceships?
Silence.
Cylons, but the ships are called there's a certain name, but anyway, I've forgotten the three with a nose cone, which they fight with.
Jeez, and you think there's not enough factions in X-Wing?
Yeah, no, it takes me back to my years as a kid because I love the original
Battlestar Galactica is awesome.
Did you watch?
I like the grittiness to it.
But you didn't watch the original.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I watched the original, but I actually preferred the newer one because it was even grittier.
Oh, yeah.
The ship looks
first-
it's banged up. It's
Yeah.
bits hanging off everywhere, and whereas if you came from say Star Trek universes and stuff like that, where everything's crisp and clean and shiny, it's almost like Infinity. It just hurts your eyeballs. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Battlestar Galactica.
But the first one's a
series.
kids show. The second one is an adult show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But Battlestar Galactica is always about the characters, not about the spaceships.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
but
first one's all about spaceships.
there's video
for sure.
games as well for
Yeah.
this. There's a video game where it's Starship Battles
And Muffy.
of Battlestar Galactica, but you're right. It's getting into that. You've got two factions.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's using the Wings of Glory system.
Okay.
So
Yep.
Which I'm still really keen to play. I've been wanting to play that for years.
I want to play.
Crimson Skies?
No, I want to play Armada with lots of factions.
But you can only ever play one.
I've only played. Oh, you know what? I've never played as the Rebels.
Oh, it's fun. You should try it. What you do is you fly forward and then you die.
That's not true.
it's kind of the opposite for Legion.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe you're just good at Armada.
No, I was driving my ships off the board, so it can't.
Yeah, that's how I'm getting victory points.
Yeah.
You can't slow your Star
Driving
Destroyer down. quick
Yeah,
enough to
drive the Star Destroyer
fly off
straight.
my
Oh crap! I've got to
determination.
turn it. Oh crap! It's off.
That's it for me.
All right, cool. Well, we'll leave it there and get straight into our newest irregular regular segment.
Time for Just Dip It with Trent Denison.
Okay, listeners, we've got Just Dip It with Trent Denison. And for those of you who aren't aware who Trent Denison is and don't frequent the Oz Painters Facebook page, Trent's an absolute stellar painter in his own right, and he does outstanding stuff. Jump on the Oz Painters website, Facebook page, and you'll be able to check him out. And without further ado, we'll jump straight into it. Okay, let's get into it, Trent. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure being on.
Brilliant. And for our lucky listeners, we have Trent Denison tonight, magical painter extraordinaire.
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
No, come on, let's be serious here. Your painting is stellar work. I'm like a big fan, and I have been for a while. So, I follow you on the old Book of Face, and it's great to see your work.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, I've been painting, I guess, competition standard stuff for only about 18 months. But before that, I was heavily into miniature gaming. So I cut my teeth on painting armies of hundreds and hundreds of models. But I'm just too old for that shit now.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, well, nice one. So you'd have been, I know the other guys, Muddi, for example, he was big into fantasy in the 7th edition age, and he knows your name from then. So I think you might have crossed paths at some point. So I'm guessing from what you've said, a Warhammer player back in the day?
Yes. I actually started my wargaming career a long, long time ago. I worked for Games Workshop back as a casual, and then ended up working for them for 3 years as a store manager of one of their Games Workshop stores in Brisbane. This was back around 2000 to 2002, I think. So I've been playing Warhammer since then. Played a lot of Warhammer 40k, Necromunda. Those are my favourite games for a long, long time. Attended a lot of interstate tournaments. Usually did reasonably well, but I was always considered myself a painter first and a gamer second. But as time went on, I started to obsess about the gaming as well. So there was an Australian team that was sent over to the Warhammer ETC, which is the European Team Championship. So I was actually invited onto that team the second year that they went, which was in 2010. So I played in that. And then after that, I moved on to playing some War Machine and Hordes. Played that for about 5 or 6 years. Again, played at a lot of interstate, international events, competed at the World Team Championships as the captain of the Australian team on multiple occasions. I played at the Iron Gauntlet World Championships in Seattle on multiple occasions. And then I also moved on to another game called Guild Ball, which is done by Steamforge Games, and I played in the World Championships in the UK for that a couple of years ago. But at the end of that, I decided to take a break from the competitive gaming and started focusing on painting. So that brings us to now.
Bloody hell, that's amazing. So just on that, so when you worked with Games Workshop, did they teach you the sales technique? Because every single Games Workshop I've walked into, you end up walking out with a hell of a lot more stuff than perhaps you first thought you might needed.
Well, I tell you what, back then it was a lot less, I would say, sales focused, but there was a 10 commandments of being a retail employee. And
really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can remember quite a few of them actually, because I still refer to them today. Number one was always greet the customer when they walk in. Number two was ask the correct questions. I think number 5 was establish rapport. I can't remember any of the others. But yeah, they're just good little tips for getting to know customers. And it wasn't really heavily sales focused back then. It wasn't make them buy X amount of things and push other stuff onto them. It was more about, I guess, being an inviting hobby community place to attend. So it's changed a bit now.
Interesting. So and look, tongue in cheek, the sleazy Games Workshop guy that comes up to try and want to know me is building rapport, shall we say, rather than trying to
well, I don't know if he's doing it now. He was 15 years ago.
And obviously, no offense to our Games Workshop employee listeners that might be out there. So, like I say, a bit of tongue in cheek.
Some offense intended.
Yeah, maybe. So, with your traveling and that, were they? Did you have to place local rankings to get invited to these events, or was it just Did you?
So there was. There's always been sort of different ways for Australian people to attend one of these teams. Depending upon the system, but generally it was usually based around rankings and performance over a course of a calendar year. There was a very, very rigorous ranking system back in the 7th edition of Warhammer Days, which a lot of people would remember Rankings HQ. So that was the main Warhammer Fantasy rankings, and they pulled a lot of players from that. But it was, in a lot of ways, for most of the travel back for Warhammer Days, it was just who could afford to go, because obviously it's a 3,000 plus round trip to go overseas to play Little Toy Soldiers. So cut out a number of people. Yeah, and then beer money on top, and food money, and whatever else money on top. I would imagine. Yeah, we were lucky enough a couple of times to get some small sponsorship for the Warhammer Days, but it was never really enough to cover the whole airfare or anything like that. So, yeah, we all had to dip into our own pockets. But 10 guys traveling overseas for a couple of weeks. It was some of the best memories I've got in my life is those trips. Yeah,
I can only imagine. So, what got you into the hobby at the very start, like way back? Rewind the clock back to the early days. What got you interested?
Great question. We used to have a little store near my house. It was called Dragon's Keep. It was at Strathpine, which is on the north side of Brisbane, for anyone that's interested. Yep. I walked in there, a bright-eyed youngster of about 10 years old, And the first thing I ever bought was a bag of flock. It was $7. And the next thing I bought was a box of Empire halberdiers, the one-piece plastic ones.
Yep, I remember them.
Little shields. I think that at the time it was $11.95. And yeah, mate, I was hooked. I think from there I bought Advanced Dungeons and Dragons rule books. I bought 40k. All the fantasy models. The fantasy, I think it was 4th edition back then. It was a long time ago now. But yeah, that was a thing, and I've just been hooked ever since. I always read a lot of fantasy novels and Star Wars movies, Indiana Jones, that sort of stuff. So it just fired my imagination from very early on, and it's been something I've been passionate about ever since for 25 plus years, I guess.
Wow, yeah, that's a bit like myself. So, have you still got those said Empire halberdiers somewhere in your collection?
No,
what?
I do.
What do you mean? What happened?
I don't know.
Did the power gamer in you get rid of the Empire army and go for maybe vampire counts instead back in the day?
I definitely did go to vampire counts, but I think
oh, there we go. Truth comes out.
I very much like the current models. I mean, those models were dog awful, right? They were terrible.
Yeah, in fact, they didn't even rank up. Like for the ones I remember, if you
had to angle them slightly, otherwise they didn't fit. Yeah, that's the ones. So yeah, when they came out with the multi-part kits, I basically got rid of all my old stuff and just upgraded to the multi-part Empire Halberdiers box, which was I think that was the glory days of Games Workshop back then. So, but I do still have my Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide. So.
Oh, nice. That'll be worth a fortune. That's an antique right there.
Yeah, it's pretty old, but classic stuff.
Awesome. So, okay, so you obviously, look, you're a fantastic painter. So, did you walk away from each tournament with the best painted trophy?
I did win a few, yes, not going to lie.
Yeah, nice. Yep.
My Crix army from War Machine and Hordes was something I invested a lot of time in. I had it for basically when I started playing War Machine, which was, as I said, about 2011. And through to only a couple of years ago, I sold it. And every release that came out, I added it and painted it to it. So I had basically every Crix model released all fully painted, so I could pretty much just pull what I wanted and play with a painted army, which was a lot of fun. And it won quite a few Best Painted awards. I won a number of Best Painted with Guild Ball, a couple of Warhammer ones as well. But yeah, it was... I guess back then I was really focused on painting armies, and that's the old GW staff member painting thing. We learned a few tricks about how to paint stuff quickly for the store, and I just translated that to my own hobby. So painting things quickly was what I focused on a lot back then, and quickly into a pretty good standard. I guess tabletop standard, you'd call it.
That's interesting, and probably worth a segment in the future just by itself is just the philosophy about that, rather than going into too much detail about color choice and whatnot, but more about the tabletop standard, because I think a lot of players miss the mark sometimes with that. They don't really understand maybe what that means.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do a really good standard without really having to do much over and above what normal people would sort of paint like, but just with some techniques and some I guess some color choices, you can make things look a little bit more harmonious and better fairly easily. But yeah, we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, cool. Look, I'm going to throw some quick questions at you. And,
Go.
All right, nice one. Okay, resin or metal?
Much prefer resin.
Cool. If you had to pick one of the three, which would it be? Star Wars, historicals, or Fallout, the computer game?
Interesting. So I played Fallout, the board game, for the first time the other week, which was a lot of fun. I'm not much of a computer gamer. The last computer game I really played a lot was Super Mario Brothers on the Wii. So I'm not really a computer gamer, so I'll probably go Star Wars.
Yeah, cool. A man after my own heart. The reason I asked that is because our logo has Jacob dressed as a character from Fallout. It's got Muddi as a historical character.
Leonidas,
as a Roman legionnaire.
Yeah, no, that's not a Roman. That's a Greek guy.
Well, the Greek, yes, he'll flog me for that, but he'll whatever. He's yeah. Anyway, and then I'm dressed as a Star Wars X-wing pilot. So man after my own heart. You got good taste, Trent. Good taste.
Thank you.
Okay, so meat or veg?
Definitely meat.
Yeah, all right. Well, okay. Yep. Fair enough.
Although I will
And
admit that for 2 years I was a vegan, but I do enjoy meat.
you do enjoy your steak.
I do enjoy steak now these days. Yes,
Yeah, good lad. All right. So, beer or girly drinks?
beer.
Oh, brilliant. And do you prefer black beer or of the pale variety?
I am a wheat beer aficionado, if I'm honest. The dark beer,
Yeah.
it's a bit too heavy for me, I'm afraid.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll have to get you. A few lessons around that. I think next time we're down at Canberra around CanCon, and we're just chatting earlier, listeners. Yeah, we're just chatting earlier, listeners, and unbelievable. Trent is unaware of mooseheads, which I find shocking.
Yeah, we'll have to rectify that.
Fantastic. All right. So with that and that great introduction, we'll perhaps maybe jump into. I guess why we got you on the show and why you kindly said you would come on the show, which is some hobby basics. And we thought we'd just touch on, I guess, the very first thing that you would do when you get a model, which is, I guess, prep it prior to painting. So given your vast experience and how good your work is, I thought you'd be the perfect person to ask. So I guess, Trent, how do you prep a mini? What's the first steps that you think about when you get that miniature and you before you give the lick of paint? What goes on?
All right, so it's a fairly detailed topic, so we'll break it down into a few steps, I guess. The first thing you should actually do when you open the box is make sure all the pieces are there, because I opened a model the other day and one of the pieces was missing and I didn't realise. But anyway, so depending on the model material will determine how you proceed with prepping it for painting. But we'll start with like a metal figure, I guess. So the metal molding process is two rubber molds and the metal's injected into those. When they come out, you can often have small bits of flash, excess metal that comes out on the mold lines, as well as the obvious mold lines themselves, which is where the two rubber molds shift slightly because of heat. So you usually get that little ridge. The only effective way to clear that on a metal model is using a file. You want to avoid using a Stanley knife for metal models. It won't clean it off very well. So you need a variety of different files, usually a round one and then a couple of square-edged ones to get into corners. And the round one's best for organic shapes like cloaks, skin, and the metal ones, the square-edged ones are usually for armor plates, swords, and that type of thing. So it's pretty simple to clean those off. It just takes patience. I would recommend cleaning all the mold lines off before you start assembling the model together. It makes it easier. Having said that, though, there are times if I'm focusing on speed that I'll assemble a model and then clear the visible mold lines. Don't tell anyone. Just a little secret trick of the trade there.
Yep.
But yeah, it's pretty basic sort of stuff. Most people will be familiar with a file and how to clean off mold lines. But the next step is obviously gluing the piece together. I'll go into resin in a second, or resin and plastic in a second. I actually use a super glue accelerant when I glue models together. The advantages of an accelerant. Are you familiar with accelerants?
No, I was just going to ask. I'm not. I just use your bog standard super glue. So what's is it a 2-part mix or is it come as a one tube?
So I buy super glue from Woolworths. The Tarzan's grip costs you about $2, but then from a hobby store, there's a number of them around Brisbane that you can buy it from. You can usually buy it's called a cyanoacrylate something. It basically forces the super glue to cure in a matter of seconds, and it's a little spray, a little liquid that comes in a little misty spray bottle type of thing, very small, and you basically put your super glue on one piece, push it to the other one, and then spray the accelerant on there, and the bond will be completely solid in about 2 seconds.
Bloody hell, that's awesome, because the amount of times I've thought the connection was fine and then set it down, and the amount of times that the bloody arm or whatever has fallen off,
Yep.
I'm friggin' spewing, and then my finger gets stuck to the sword, or my finger gets stuck
Yep.
to the, and then I flick it, and then the arm goes flying across the kitchen table, and I'm like, oh, this is just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So-
I don't assemble without an accelerant these days. It just makes everything so much quicker, so much less stressful. There are still occasions where it's necessary to pin, but when you use an accelerant, because it bonds immediately, it actually strengthens the bond as well. You don't need to pin as often. So Hobbyrama on the north side at Stafford sells it. Irresistible Force on the south side sells it. Zappergap does an accelerant, which you can get from most of those hobby stores. So cool tip.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so once the metal model's all assembled, you'll usually have some gaps in where the joins from the molds have warped slightly. We'll talk about the gap filling process after I sort of briefly touch on resin and plastic, because the gap filling is the same for both. Cool, so that's metal models. File off the mold lines, glue them together with super glue, job done.
Just one question I want to dive in there, actually, before we get into the resin. I've heard some hobbyists talk about getting a wire brush and giving their metal models a wire brush, just to remove any loose, I guess, flashing and whatnot. Now, I've never done it because I'm in, like, the white metal is quite, it's a soft metal, and I think, I look at the wire brush I use to clean my barbecue, and I think, hell, that's just going to tear into the white metal model. Is that something you've ever heard of, or do you think just the filing is enough?
Well, so it depends. It really depends on, I guess, how good a finish you want. If you're trying to paint a display piece, or if you're painting an tabletop sort of piece, because a lot of the very top level painters will use a much thinner version of steel wool than the steel wool you use to clean your barbecue. But yeah, they will actually brush off the surface to remove any, oils, residue from the mold, extra bits of I guess, oxidized metal that stick on there. So you can actually brush it off, clean it all off, use small sandpaper, like really fine grade sandpaper, to smooth it out even further. I don't do that. I don't think it's necessary for anything but the absolute upper echelon of display table painting that you need to do that. Most of the time, the models that come out of the mold, I'm fairly confident most metal manufacturers, miniature manufacturers that use metal, will give things a brief wash after they get out of the mold to remove the residue. So you should just be good to go pretty much straight away.
Yeah, cool. That's cool, because I always sort of wondered to myself. So I suppose I'm getting a bit mixed up, because I was thinking wire brush and I'm thinking, no, that's going to tear a model apart. But using wire wool makes a lot more sense. And I suppose a fine grade wire wool.
Very softly. Otherwise, you would can rip the detail apart. So
100%, I can understand that. Yeah, so I might try that. But in saying that, I'm not necessarily painting to like competition standard. I'm just painting just for my own army. But I might try it just to see what the difference is. So plastic and resin. So what's your process there?
So obviously, the plastics usually come in the sprues, which need to be clipped out. The best way to do that's with a pair of side cutters, the flat edged ones. Games Workshop used to sell a pair with yellow handles. That were my favourite. I've never been able to find a pair as good since. Devastated.
What, not even from China?
No, I've been trying to find good side cutters for ages. I can't find anything. Anyway. But a pair of side cutters will trim out a plastic, usually without needing to clean up. You can also use a scalpel or an X-Acto knife to trim them out of the sprues. I avoid that because I'm pretty clumsy, so I'll usually cut myself trying to do that.
Especially with a scalpel. I remember I used to... I don't know what... I think the regulations are a bit different here in Australia, but I'm from the UK, and you can get scalpels from your chemist. There's no questions asked. And I was a kid, probably at the age of 14, and using a scalpel, surgical scalpel. And one time I slipped and nearly took my top of my thumb off completely. Showed it to my brother because it was pouring blood, and he said, "Whatever you do, don't tell Mum, because she will not be happy." So we wrapped toilet paper around it until eventually, after a lot of blood, it stopped bleeding. But I had a nice tidy scar for a long time. So I thought,
I thought, you could pick them up. No worries. So I went into the chemist here in Brisbane and asked for a surgical scalpel, and this lady just looked at me and just went, well, first of all, no, and then why do you need it? And I sort of explained. She went, oh, okay, right, that makes sense, but still, the answer is no. Like we don't sell them. So it's a bit of a shame because they're bloody awesome.
You can get pretty good scalpels from Bunnings. They come in a little. They sell the blades themselves from Bunnings in the tool shop.
Okay, did not know that. Okay,
yeah, refills. Cool. It's pretty good. That's where I get mine from. Yeah. So, hey, fun fact about superglue and accelerant. I'm not sure if you knew this. Superglue's original purpose that it was invented for was actually sealing wounds back in one of the world wars, and so. Often I cut myself with my scalpel. That's a once a week occurrence. I have cuts all over my hands right now. But I actually just put some super glue on the cut and then spray it with the accelerant. It seals the cut. No need for a Band-Aid.
That's awesome. Now I know how to fix kids up. Brilliant.
It's good tip.
I might share that one with my partner when I go home. Fantastic. Yep. Here's how we sort the kids out when they fall over.
Just super glue, mate. They'll be fine. So, no, that's good. That's cool for an accelerant. You need the spray, otherwise it doesn't work that well. Yeah, so once you've got all the pieces out of the plastic sprues, and obviously the resin usually has to be trimmed off sprues, but much less. The mold lines is still an issue. Often you'll find that with plastic and resin models, the mold lines are significantly less challenging to remove. And usually they're not as bad as metal models because the metal models, the rubber itself in the molds warps very easily. So you'll only get a certain number of casts out of a metal mold before it probably should be replaced, and often they'll push it a bit further than they should. So that's why you get those really bad mold lines. But with resin, they don't tend to warp as badly. So and plastics obviously injection molded into not rubber, so it doesn't tend to warp as much. But the easiest way to remove mold lines on resin and plastic is with a scalpel and scraping it along the edge of the surface perpendicular to the mold line. Once you get practiced at it, you can usually scrape off pretty much every single mold line with that scalpel, and it's extremely quick, which is why I prefer resin models to metal. It's much easier to prepare them. So It is a bit difficult unless you have a very fine-grade file to actually clean mold lines with a file. And there's very few occasions where I do it, but it's usually on a very rounded, cloak or a fold where you can't quite get the scalpel in because of the angle. A file will often be the only option there. So, but the scalpel is pretty much the only thing you need for a resin or plastic sculpt.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you've trimmed your plastic model. I take it same as before. Do you use super glue on your plastic and resin? Well, resin, I imagine you'd use super glue. Do you use plastic glue at all?
Back in the day, I did used to use plastic glue for those multi-part Empire halberdiers, but no, these days it's all super glue, even for plastic models. Purely because the accelerant just speeds the whole process up a lot. So. Yeah, plastic
boom,
and resin, job done.
And then same deal again. I imagine you'd any gaps or any little inconsistencies, you would use your green stuff to fix any imperfections in the model prior to getting stuck into undercoating.
I guess the next step, gap filling, is a bit of a tricky one. There's a number of ways you can do it. Green stuff is the Games Workshop school of gap filling. It's not my preferred method. So there's a number of ways you can fill gaps. What you'll also find with metal models, you can have some pitting of the surface, little pock marks on a metal area. So it's really hard to use green stuff to fill that in. So if you want to fill gaps on either of those models, I would generally recommend milliput. So milliput is another modeling hobby. It's a finer grain, I guess, than green stuff, and it has a different consistency. Whereas green stuff is very tacky and a bit rubbery. Milliput will dry extremely hard, almost rock-like, so it can be scraped and sanded with a file much easier, whereas green stuff, you can't actually sand it that well. So if you're not great at smoothing out green stuff, it's really hard to get it to look right with a gap filling on green stuff. Whereas with Milliputt, because of the consistency, it's much easier to fill gaps with it. You can put it on and smooth it down with there's a number of sculpting tools I use. There's the Games Workshop sculpting tool is actually really good. It has a scalpel-ish blade on one end and then a flat circular on the other end. And that flat circular end is really good for pushing down into the gaps. That's what I'd use. And particularly with Milliputt, the metal will really not stick to it at all, whereas it can stick to green stuff, which is an issue. But the other thing I use is a rubber-tipped sculpting tool. This is the type of thing that I would do for display pieces. If I was doing quick stuff for an army, there's two cheating ways that you can fill gaps that work perfectly well. They won't work for large gaps. You'll need to use the putty for large gaps. But if you've just got a small gap, option number one, PVA glue. If you stick some non-watered down PVA glue in a gap using a paintbrush and leave it overnight, the gap will be filled.
That's
or
bloody
gloss
clever.
Varnish.
Gloss varnish, again.
Thanks,
that
mate. I'm pretty
makes
clever
sense.
guy.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's the same reason for the PVA. The gloss varnish will fill that gap and dry hard. So unless there's a significant gap, that would be the method I would use, and it's much quicker than mixing up your two parts of your putty and pushing it on and smoothing it out. Stick a bit of PVA or a bit of gloss varnish, job done.
Yeah, and then waiting for the Milliputt to dry as well. And then, again, just like filling cracks in your wall, you might not get it the first time. You got to go in and get it again. There's more waiting time and so on and so forth. But whereas that's two very clever little quick tips there.
So one of my other painting tips, which we'll probably get onto at some point in the future, is a hairdryer. I have a hairdryer at my painting station. You can actually use that hairdryer on the gloss varnish. We'll dry it in about a minute. So you'll be ready to go in a minute, which is much better than waiting 24 hours for your Milliputt to dry.
Yeah, that's awesome. I must admit, I asked my partner probably about maybe a year ago. I asked her where her hairdryer was. She couldn't find it. And she's like, I haven't got a lot of hair, to be honest. She's like, why on earth? Why? So I said, well, it's just to dry my paint. And she just looked at me, just went, you are just going too far with what your hobby is. Anyway, she got me her dryer, but I just thought, yep, I know where you're going with that. I like that. Yep. That's cool.
$25 from Coles, mate, for a hairdryer, so you'll be sweet. Hey, look, the other advantage to Milliputt over green stuff is you can use it to fill those pock marks in metal. If you because Milliputt, as I said, it's a bit of a different texture. So if you mix up a little bit of Milliputt and then pop it in a little plastic container and mix water into the Milliputt, so run water in your brush and mix it around and around and around, you'll get a milky paste, and you can actually paint that over the pockmarked areas of a model. And what that will actually do, once the water evaporates, the Milliputt will settle in the recesses, much like a Devlin mud wash or whatever. It works in the same way, and the Milliputt will actually fill those gaps.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Love it. I've actually got some Milliputt at home, so it's been lying dormant for. In fact, I don't even think I've used it. So any decent hobby shop will have Milliputt, or I imagine if you jump on eBay, you can get it online. Yeah,
Milliputt's usually available at most of the hobby shops. A lot of the military modelers and those sorts of guys use Milliputt. They think green stuff's a bit of a joke, to be honest. So, yeah, Milliputt's the way to go for gap filling, for cleaning up pockmarks, that type of thing. Again, as I said, for tabletop gaming, for army stuff, it's generally not necessary. You're going to be looking at models from about 3 or 4 feet away. So, no one really picks it up to look at the gaps in between a guy's arm or the pockmarks on the bottom of his gut. But if you're doing some display stuff, then yeah, you'll want to get into that slightly more advanced gap filling technique.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've cleaned up our model. We've now made it, and we've sorted out the gaps. What's next?
So I would always recommend undercoating your models, be it plastic, metal, or otherwise. There's lots of reasons for it, but the main one is it will stop the paint from rubbing off. You'll get better longevity out of the model. The paint just adheres better to an undercoated surface. There's other advantages, obviously. If you undercoat in black, you'll have immediate shading, which is good. And if you undercoat in white, your colours will be brighter, etc. But yeah, the main reason is purely the paint sticks to the model better, doesn't come off as easily. So
yeah, cool.
There's a number of ways you can undercoat. You can use.
Okay, well, I'll pose a question to you. Sorry to chime in, but I'll pose a question to you, right? Okay, so G-Dub spray paint, Bunning spray paint, or undercoat through an airbrush. What's the right answer?
G-Dub spray paint is the right answer.
What? No way.
100% factual statement.
Holy hell.
To this day, buy Games Workshop Chaos Black undercoat for my undercoating purposes. Even at $20 a fucking can, I still buy that.
I almost fell off my chair, Trent. I literally, I'm sitting here with my mouth ajar. Really?
Yep. So I've
use
tested a lot of other sprays, a lot of other ways of undercoating. I keep coming back to the Games Workshop stuff. It's got the nicest, cleanest finish. It rarely obscures detail unless you undercoat it incorrectly, and it's just the one I've would recommend over any other undercoat option.
Do you exclusively use black, or do you use different shades?
I do a technique generally called zenithal priming, which we can talk about in the future, I guess. But it's a black first with a lighter color, a grey or a white, sprayed over the top from the zenith of the model, the peak, the top of the model. And what that does is it creates immediate shading. It's another one of those ways you can speed up your painting process, is if you have immediate shading on there, with white and black, it's much easier to make it look good. So I will actually use the Chaos Black spray across the model to cover the surface with a nice thin layer, and then I will use the airbrush to spray a white or a grey from the top down. That's the process I would use.
I think, you hit the nail on the head. I think I'd like to talk about that further on the track, but also that's awesome. Like it's I know where you're coming from, and for our listeners out there, we'll come back to this topic because that's an entire segment just in itself. But interesting. So chaos. So when you do undercoat, do you use a spray booth? Do you do it out in the outside, or do you do it in an air conditioned room, or because I guess the reason why it's a leading question, because when I've used old famous Skull White, the G-Dub white, now we live in Queensland, and it frosts up, and I just go bloody white. So I guess
I'll never
what's the conditions
ever
you
use the Skull White spray. The Skull White is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Would not recommend it to anyone. It's appallingly bad. The Chaos Black is at the other end of the spectrum. I've never had a can do that. The only issue I've ever had with the Chaos Black spray, and it was only one can, was because of the humidity. It dried very quickly, and then there was a little bit of, a whitish tinge at the top. It went a little bit grey towards the top. That's literally the only issue I've ever had with Chaos Black spray. So obviously safety reasons, I always spray outside, barring incredible weather conditions, in which case I'll usually spray at the door with the door open, so that I'm spraying out onto the balcony even if it's raining.
Wise move.
There's a few things you need to do when you're using the spray undercoat. The first is you don't want to have the nozzle aimed directly at the model and then push down to release the paint. That first burst of paint that comes out of the nozzle is often slightly thicker than the second part of the spray, so that will clog up detail. So you want to actually start the can aimed a little bit to the left of the model, and then pass across to the right. So you spray across the model with that first burst actually just off to the side so it doesn't hit the model with too much paint. So it sounds like you waste a lot of paint that way. You don't. Once you get used to it, you'll just go with quick little bursts from with a flicking motion of your wrist side to side, turning the model around, making sure you cover everything with a thin layer. You don't want it to be super thick. Obviously, you'll obscure the detail.
So you just mentioned turn it around now. Where I spray, I've got sort of 360 to my model, so it's not too bad. So do you have a turntable, or is literally you have it on a table and you're spraying around it like myself? Or
well, generally these days I'm only painting single individual models, and so I'll have the model attached to a handle to paint, which I also highly recommend painting with a model attached to something. You'll immediately improve your painting if you do that. But yeah, so I'll actually have the model on a Citadel paint pot that I'll then spray and turn the paint pot around in my left hand, so I can get it from all angles.
Cool. I've also heard, and I suppose this is for the listeners, what I've done is I've taken a stick, literally, and wrapped masking tape around it, but the other way, so the sticky side out, and then attached that sticky tape with another piece of masking tape, and then I've put my bases on that sticky tape, or masking tape, I should say, and then used it to go up and down the model, so you can sort of turn it around as you spray, as a way of getting access to the model. There's different ways to do it, but I find for doing mass, if I was undercoating maybe 30 or 40 models, that was a really handy way to do it and a good way to get into all the nooks and crannies.
I used to have a piece of wood that was just like a plank almost, about 30 centimeters long, fairly sturdy. And I used to just put blue tack on the bottom of the models and line them up on the edge, and then just spray one side and then wait for that to dry and turn around and spray the back, and job done. Yeah,
cool. So interesting. So all right. Any other tips and advice for
I've shocked you with that Chaos Black revelation, haven't I?
Honestly, I just, because Muddi's like, oh, I use Chaos Black. I'm like, no. And I'll tell you what I use. I use Bunnings, and I think it's Duratec, or it begins with D anyway. And it's a flat grey primer, and you can use it on plastic, wood, or metal. And I've found that to be an absolute beauty, to be honest. It really works for me, and I prefer going grey rather than the black. I'll perhaps use a white then to hit on top to get that zenithal highlights you talked about earlier, but generally I'll go grey. And this Bunnings all-in-one jobby primer seems to work for me. So, but I think I'll have to perhaps go back to the Chaos Black. So it's interesting. Give me food for thought, Trent.
Yeah. So the other topic that you sort of touched on there was through an airbrush. So I actually don't generally airbrush an undercoat on, and the reason for that is chemical. The spray undercoat has a chemical in there which makes it adhere to the surface better. It doesn't happen when you do it with an airbrush, and so even though the airbrush undercoat is absolutely the smoothest undercoat you get, it can actually rub off because it's not adhering to the model as well as the spray undercoat. So my first undercoat is always Chaos Black, and then even if it's a very thin one, and then I go over it with a model with pure white and have the model basically undercoated white, I'll still do that Chaos Black first because it just lets the paint adhere to the surface much better.
Yeah, awesome. Now, also, and I guess now you've mentioned, and I've touched on this a while ago or a second ago. Now, you spray outside. Now, you live in Queensland, it's humid. You've had no issue. Like, do you, in summertime where it's, it can be 30 degrees by 9 o'clock in the morning, do you spray early doors? Do you get out 7 in the morning and spray, or do you spray like late at night and you don't spray like during the hottest part of the day?
I don't do a lot of painting during the day because I'm generally at work. So it's usually I'll undercoat at night time, yes. So. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I must admit, I try and not prime any time during the day. Like I'm talking about Saturdays or Sundays, where I have, that's my time off. I'll try and not prime? It'll be, first thing in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock when I first get up, and then leave it until. And do you leave it 24 hours, or do you have like a set time of when you leave it like to dry?
Usually about 20 minutes, to be honest. I'm pretty impatient, so I'll just jump in. You are supposed to wait for 24 hours for the paint to fully cure. That is a fact. But I'm an impatient painter, so
you just get into it. Yeah,
dive in, mate. My dad always said, "We're not here to fuck spiders." So
that's right. Yeah, exactly. So, and look, unless you have any other points, I've got one final question to ask you before we wrap up. So, is there anything that you want to?
No, that's pretty much it. That's the process that I go through. So, the next sort of stuff we would talk about is the painting itself. So, let's leave that for another time. Hit me with your question.
Yeah, well, look, I've been down to ask it since we started the conversation. So one thing we always do when we chat to the boys is ask them what's on their desk. So since we've talked about prepping models and priming, what's on your desk that you've recently primed that you're going to get your teeth into?
I have about 10 projects on the go at the moment, actually. All in various stages.
Just 10.
All in various stages of undercoating and or painting, but at the moment I'm working on a post-apocalyptic diorama using 2 futuristic female busts. It's a bit of a concept project, I guess. I'm trying a few different things, so you can see some pictures of it on my Instagram if you want to check that out. I post most of my work in progress stuff on my Instagram or my Twitter account, so check it out there. It's at Big Deno Paints if you're interested.
Brilliant. Well, maybe you could send us a couple of links or send us some, and we can put it up on the Facebook page, on the PSG Facebook page as well, and that way then people can link to it and whatnot.
Perfect. Can do.
Brilliant. Excellent. Trent, this has been brilliant. It's been a revelation. I have learnt stuff. I have been shocked. I have been awed. What more do you want? I think that's fantastic, and I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the show, and look forward to our next chat, next catch up.
No worries. Hopefully, I can keep up the shock, awe, and amazement as we proceed. So. But I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Thanks, Trent.
You are listening to Power Stance Gaming, and now, enjoy some more.
Alright, thanks. That was actually really informative. I didn't know you actually had to prepare a miniature to paint it. You just pop it out of the plastic and dip it.
Just dip it.
So, anyway, it's always good to learn things. Education, it's key, really.
It's important.
Yeah, and all jokes aside, thanks, Trent. That was fantastic. Greg?
And I think, no matter what your skill level, I think certainly I took points away from that interview, and I'm hoping all the listeners out there, if they've got any feedback, we'll be stoked to hear it.
Cool. And shout out to Greg for putting that together. Not saying that you don't contribute to the cast.
Thanks, Jacob, for trying to get my computer to work.
Yeah.
All 2.5 hours of it.
Yeah.
Are you getting listener questions for that sort of stuff? Like questions? Or are you just literally going off what you've got?
No, I'd be stoked to this. Stoked if listeners write in and ask, for advice or whatever, or ask for specific topics that they want Trent to touch on. It'd be fantastic. I know Trent would be really pleased to answer any listener questions for sure.
Right. So Army Painter versus Agrex Earthshade. What's the best dip? Come on, we need to know.
That's a poll.
No, it's easy. It's an easy. I can tell you now which wins straight off the bat. Easily.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Depends how fast you're going. Really,
true.
You got to wait for that shit to dry.
How big the army is.
Yeah. All right, we are going to leave it there. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Turned into a bit of a long cast. That's what you love about us, right?
Hopefully.
Crickets. That was good.
Yeah.
I like the crickets. If you do want to get in touch with us, maybe you have a question for Muddi, send us a message on our Facebook page or post up there. Workbench Wednesday going off as usual.
I'm sure they do have a question, and it's medium rare. Thanks.
Greg, if people want to tweet us, now that you've got Twitter and you've sent a tweet.
With your assistance.
Yep. What's our handle? How should they get onto us on Twitter?
I have no idea.
At PS Gaming Podcast.
So professional.
Send us an email at powerstancegamingpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our Facebook site, which I should have mentioned earlier, for the latest T-shirts designs, including Game Savage and Game with Flair. Had to get away from some Infinity designs and do something different.
Thank God for that.
Hashtag not Infinity Podcast. And DT, we've got your request for the Grumpy Greg T-shirt, and
It's being worked on.
looking forward to collaborate with an artist to get that done.
No idea where that's come from.
Otherwise, subscribe to us on iTunes and Podbean, and let us know what you think. Muddi, any final thoughts?
No, all good.
Sweet, Mr. Greg.
It's been a pleasure and look forward to the next con.
Sleeping at it.
Sleep your way to fucking 7th place.
He's gonna put himself down for buys both days and get first.
He could go to Gen Con, not even travel to the country. Just go give me the buy every lesson. You'll end up with a ticket to Interplanetario.
Five buys gets you 10 points.
Yeah, that's my best ever tournament record. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll leave it there. Thanks, heaps.
I'm just jealous. I didn't think of it.
All right, good night.
Thank you for listening to Power Stance Gaming Podcast, the #1 place for tabletop gaming and hobby banter. You know you love us. See you soon.
Shake your rope.